Hello, Science and Magic YouTube channel. My name is Amanda Levesque, and my channel is Science and Magic. I'm so glad to have you here. This particular video will dive into the strategy of the Human Design Projector. And I am not necessarily a studier or student of human design. I mean, I'm a student of human design, of course, but I'm not an expert in it. It's not something that I spend my time and my days diving into. With that being said, I am a human design projector, splenic authority, and I've learned enough through embodied experience that I feel like it would be helpful to share a bit about the strategy of living with this design type, of how to specifically wait for the invitation. So in this live stream, I will share I'll share from this perspective that I'm going to assume you already know a bit about human design and what a projector is. And if not, there's so much amazing content out there. You can go ahead and Google it. You can find out your strategy. You can find out your energy type. I find that this idea of waiting for the invitation and the strategy of living as a human design projector actually aligns really well with the work that I offer the world. I specialize in working with high achievers, with high performers, and with people who identify as workaholics, and helping them to slow down and to inhabit their body and their life with more satisfaction, with more presence, with more spirit. And I find that a lot of the principles of like evoking, magnetism, of self-care, of lowering stress levels, I mean, they are definitely applicable to all people, but really applicable to just humans in general right now, as we live in a society that's very go, go, go. So even if you're not a human design projector, you still might take something from this. I also think that the strategy of being a human design projector, I think it's waiting for the invitation, becoming the invitation, has a lot to do with embodiment, with allowing, which ties hand in hand with feminine energy. So for those of you who follow my channel and like the videos I post about feminine energy, again, you might get something from this as well. There's a little bit of everything for anybody and any teachings. I really feel that. So welcome, hello, say hi in the chat as you tune in. Let me know where you're tuning in from. So as human design projectors, we are meant to guide. We see the world in an incredibly unique and valuable way, and that's different to each of us. So every single one of us as a projector, I mean, as people, but as projectors, we can really see the world. We can see systems, and we want to share what we see, especially in moment to moment as it arises. It can feel like we're so filled up with this inspiration or with this knowledge, or it seems so obvious to us that we can't help but share. And the idea is we aren't supposed to share unless we are invited to do so, until we are recognized as having value, until we are invited in. And what I'm going to offer here is the invitation to pour into yourself until you are recognized, to lean back, to not be idle, not zone out and, watch TV all day and eat popcorn. That's not waiting for the invitation, but to pour into yourself until you are recognized, until your unique genius, your unique energy is recognized and you are invited to share it, because it will happen if you live according to your strategy. Initiating burns projectors out. So if we try to hold on to control to our life too much, if we try to force, if we try to, in a sense, lead our life, it will burn us out. Now, there's some initiating to be done in some ways, and we're going to talk about that. But if that's the primary energy in which we're leading life, there's no element of surrender. There's no element of leaning back and inviting in. Then we are we are pushing out our energy. We are trying to control our lives, and our strategy makes it so that life pushes back at us. And we don't get we don't get many results that way, which leaves us even more frustrated and bitter. So becoming bitter and becoming burnt out actually blocks invitation. So it's a lose situation here. And really, this is about doing something differently and doing something that's new. And that's not in alignment with mainstream culture about taking life, in your own hands and really going for it and getting what you want. Yes, but not so much in the doing. We're going to talk about the beingness of this. So how do we show up then? Like, what are we supposed to do? If waiting for the invitation, is it idle? How are we supposed to engage with work? How are we supposed to fill our day? This doesn't mean that we don't show up. So I'm showing up right now. I show up in my writing and my meditations and my yoga classes. I show up in my work, very much so. But within my showing up, it's about kind of like ditching the energy of convincing and instead focusing on heart-centered sharing. So rather than be like that know-it-all, ditch the energy of convincing, of I see this is right. Step into the heart and share from that place, out of excitement, out of peace, out of love and harmony. It's more about the energy by which you're sharing. And there's also the question here of how are you making yourself visible to the collective? We have a very penetrating aura as projectors. It's intense if it's directed into one place. Our energy, by our design, is directive and penetrative. And if it's just directed towards one person, towards one interaction, towards one opportunity, it can be completely repelling. But I believe that if we open that aura up to a broader collective, to a broader community, to a broader platform, it becomes less repelling. And if we combine with the energy of heart-centered sharing, of sharing with passion and in love, it's kind of the primo mix, the magic. So I naturally, I share insights, I share my energy through things like, these live streams, through my podcast. I have the Science and Magic podcast, through my meditations on Insight Timer. If you have that meditation app, I have several meditations uploaded, and I have, users from all over the world tuning into my meditations at any given time. I share a little bit on Instagram, not a ton, but I do have fun on occasion, sharing posts and sharing stories, same with Facebook. So I do make myself visible in that way. I share my expertise, I share my heart, I share what I know, and I do my best to not do it from a place of this is the right way, or this is what needs to happen, or you need to. Even though I'm very passionate about what I share, I try to have a lean back energy and have space for all perspectives and all hearts and all minds. And from this sharing, there's going to be resonance or there's not going to be resonance. And I trust that. Pitching myself to be a guest on other podcasts, it doesn't really work. If there is interest from that podcast, typically the conversation just feels a bit disjointed and forced, to be honest. It works better if I'm referred directly by a colleague, by a friend, by a client. And it's the same thing, with my clients. it's my job to let you all know that I do work with clients privately and in group settings, but there's no need for me to convince, to have the energy of convincing, to, press in or push in why you need this work. If you resonate with me, you resonate. And if not, it's probably best that we don't work together, because it probably wouldn't work out anyways. So I trust that energy flow. Like, I trust that exchange, and I'm focused more on the energy in which I show up than I am focused on necessarily what I'm saying, if that makes sense. It's how I'm saying it. It's how my heart is in these streams. It's the resonance by which I share, which is a bit more of magic than science. I know that. But when considering human design and the strategy of projector types, we want to have, that our energy is very penetrative, to lean back and let it spread over a wider array. So part of waiting for the invitation is showing up and being visible. It's not hiding. And it can feel frustrating to have all of this knowledge and all of this expertise, and to have all of these insights about the world that are a part of the fabric of your being, and not be able to share it. But you might think of, how can I share more broadly? What platforms can I express in a broader way, so I'm not directing it towards one specific person or opportunity? And again, it's less of a, I know this better than you approach. Which is that's not good for human beings in general, but especially projectors. We do not want to do that. Even if we know what we see will be helpful, if it's not invited in, it will be spit back at us. And then we will become bitter, because we feel like we gave this very valuable insight, this very valuable information, and we weren't seen. So we have to be seen first, and we have to trust that our soul aligned opportunities and people will come into our life and be seen, and then we will be invited, and then it will feel so good and so delicious. So it's more sharing from experience, from embodiment, from a heart place. I keep saying that, but I think it's really important. And, from passion. Passion is contagious. What we're passionate about, when we share something that we're passionate about, we share because it feels good to share. We don't share with needing anything in return. We share because it's like, I am flowing out of this right now. I can't help but share it. And that's how we want to share. No matter what your field is that you're in as a projector, no matter what you're excited about, if you share in a leaned back way from passion and in a broad sense, then those specific people will recognize you. It's our energy that invites our soul-aligned opportunities. It's our energy. I'll say it again. It's our energy. We're going to talk about that later on in this stream. It's not necessarily what we say, though our expertise is important and the words that we say are important. We could say those same words from an energy of depletion and know-it-allness, and it not land in the same way. If you're tuning in, I would love for you to say hi and let me know where you're tuning in from. Any projectors? I hope that there's projectors in the stream. And if you're not, feel free to say what your human design energy type is. So the other element of this is we are it's suggested for us to work 3 hours a day. I remember when I learned that about being a projector, I was like, that makes sense. That feels good. I got really excited. But it begs the question, what do we do for the rest of the day? Especially because we're conditioned to that, an 8-hour workday minimum. That's the conditioning. 40 hours of work a week. Like, that's just the standard. And anything below that is part-time, and anything above that is almost revered for, putting in the effort for your life. It is uplifted. So especially for my, human design projectors who identify with a high achiever personality, if that's you, feel free to say hi. It's unnerving. It can be. It's like, wait, what, 3 hours? Especially if you love work, but you get drained from work. That tends to happen a lot. There are many people, projectors or not, who love their work, but get drained from their work. And so they could exist all day if they were just a floating brain, and maybe fingers typing things. But the fact that we have this nervous system and this body, it can be like, okay, well, I have to also navigate with that. My body's not designed to work all day. And especially if you're a projector, your energy is not designed to work all day. So in my opinion, I think that you can still work. Like, I think that it's more about noticing the way in which you're working. You want 3 hours of efforted work. You want 3 hours of putting a ton of energy into work. Now, sometimes there's flow state. Sometimes work can feel really delicious. Sometimes it can give you energy. So this is more about noticing. Projector from Austin, Texas. Hello, Derek. Welcome. And we have hi from Minnesota. Oh, great. I'm from Minnesota too. Not sure what I am, but I really resonate with what I've heard projectors share. Yeah. I mean, I just think a lot of the strategy of projectors in general is really relevant to our current hustle society. So like I said, hang out, tune in, take what serves you. And I'm so glad that you're here. Maybe you are a projector. So the inquiry here is just notice what drains you and what replenishes you. And I'm not talking about the brain. I'm not talking about your sense of worth or your sense of esteem or your sense of pride. What drains you, your body, your energy? What depletes your energy? What takes energy? What takes effort? And what replenishes you? What actually gives you energy? What contributes to your energy body? What gives you vitality? And different parts of the workday will do this in different ways. Some will give you energy while you're doing it. Some will give you energy after it's done. Plenty of work, especially, if you're working, if you don't enjoy the work that you're doing, is going to take energy. And this is really where projectors get burnt out, is they are stuck in jobs that they don't like, that depletes their energy. And for 8 hours a day, that's 5 hours past the 3 hours. They're outputting, and then typically like they come home and they may have like a family or other commitments, and they're still outputting. So noticing those things can be really important, and you want to fill your day, that extra 5 hours, if you choose an 8-hour workday, with things that bring you energy. And for me, I mean, this will ebb and flow week to week. So some weeks I feel like I'm in flow and I feel like I have so much inspiration and I'm getting so much energy, and I could easily fill those 5 hours. Some weeks, no, I only output 3 hours because work in general feels like it's a drain. And so I show up, I do it, I notice when I'm exhausted, and I stop. And I have built a life for myself through building this business over several years where I know that I can do that. And I'm so grateful for that every day. So the question here is, what is your state of being within your doing? When you're doing something, what's your quality of energy? How are you showing up? Hi, Coco. I love that you're a manifester. And yes, Minnesota tundra. It's the second day of snow. Welcome in. So one thing that I know about me is that I get overwhelmed if more than 3 hours of my day is scheduled for me. Like, I don't like looking at my schedule in the morning and seeing that I have 3 hours of committed work. It overwhelms me. I actually only prefer 1 to 2 hours of scheduled work if possible, and only a few days of the week. So things like working with clients, podcast interviews, YouTube live streams, all of these things need to be scheduled. for my particular career. So I can't really avoid those things. But that doesn't mean that I still don't work in the times outside of that. So things like curriculum development, big picture planning of my business, writing, scripting, all of these things I love doing. I love just like putting on some good music and lighting a candle and having, hot beverage and just kind of being in my flow, stretching when I need to stretch, going, getting a snack when I want to get a snack. This feels aligned to me and it feels really good. But if something's scheduled, I start to feel really rigid. Not to say I don't love meeting with clients. I love it. It fills me. But I would definitely say that's more of an output for me because of the mere fact that it's scheduled. If I was in flow and could have some sort of business structure where I just texted a client and was like, oh, I'm in the mood to meet with a client. Let's do it. And then we would do it. Then that might be more of something that I could flow with. That would give me energy. Now, most of the time I feel completely filled up with energy after I meet with clients. So again, this is about noticing your body, and we will talk about this. And sometimes I even flow with emails. Like it feels really good to just put on some good music, again, have my lighting, and then, attend to a bunch of emails and check them off the list. I don't know who's into astrology, but my moon is in Virgo. And so doing these like small little things, it's like, oh, it's so fulfilling for me. And that can feel really good. Not all the time. I mean, a lot of times I don't like responding to emails, but sometimes it can be aligning and give me energy. So I really just follow my flow. I listen to my body and notice when I'm drained and when I'm not. And it's the skill set of listening to the body, of listening to the nervous system. It's not pushing ourselves too much. If we push ourselves as human design projectors, we will burn out. We do not generate our own energy. So we must listen to when we're tired and honor that. We must honor it. Slowing way, way, way down is so important. I was in craniosacral school near the end of last year, and it's this beautiful modality of listening to these biodynamic rhythms of the body. And my teacher gave the affirmation of the words slower, deeper, wider, smoother. I'll say it again. Just listen, see how it feels in your body. Slower, deeper, wider, smoother. It's creating more space. It's not being so narrow focused and letting your life have a bit more breadth and depth and space, and slow down that really penetrative aura, letting it have more space to widen. Of course, taking subtle, small breaks throughout the day to notice your energy, how you are feeling, to honor that. You just want a lot of space as a projector. It's really, really important. Hello, projector. Taylor, Tennessee. Awesome. Hi, Minnesotans. I lived in Minneapolis for 4 years in my early 20s. Well, I hope that you enjoyed it, Taylor. I love Minnesota. I'm a weirdo. I love winter. Must be my projector though, because I love hibernating and being cozy. And I have a life where I don't have to drive a lot. So it's great. Coco, what are resources to learn more about human design? So the Jovian website is great to just start. But honestly, I don't have a very specific person. If I want to learn more, I just look up on YouTube the design type. Oh, I will say for human design projectors, many of you might know this, but my coach, Mina Irfan, the universe guru, she has a lot of resources for human design projectors, specifically on her YouTube channel. And I'm pretty sure her son is now offering design. So I want to readings for all human design. So I will link. Her and I did a collaboration a couple of years ago, and that's why I have a lot of projectors following my channel. So I'm going to link that collaboration below, and then you can find her channel. And for projectors, I really recommend learning more through her. She does a really nice job of sharing. Otherwise, I would say just put in your design type, see what comes up, follow the people who resonate with you, who they're sharing resonates with you, and keep following those breadcrumbs. I suggest getting a reading to really personalize that, the information that you're receiving to you in your life. Like that would be a really good investment as well, as to find someone who does readings that you resonate with and just invest in that. So you have this broader scale that's broader, more specific application. I love that we're talking about winter right now. I love the winter too. Hibernation. Yes, it's so beautiful outside right now. Yes. Projector from North Carolina. Oh, I love it. Thank you for saying hi, everyone. I'll have some questions for you in a few moments here about how you take care of yourself. So stay tuned in. So, the takeaway here is we are designed to be magnetic. That's our design. Like, how does that feel to know that you're designed to be completely magnetic? You're designed to glow. It's in your core essence to glow. You, in your most aligned space, are a glowing star, sun, light form. And we are also designed to attract aligned opportunities. So we're designed to attract the opportunities that are right for us with ease. It's designed to be easy. Like, how does that feel? Your life is designed to be easy. Like, notice what comes up when I say that. Is there resistance? Is there sadness? It's designed to be beautiful and fun and soft and plenty. A lot of this comes with body connection and body relationship. So how are you listening to your body? How are you relating to your body? How are you caring for it? Our body is this physical form, this dense energy form. It emits energy always. It emits a magnetic field around us, and we are connected through energy. We are, we're animal bodies, right? So we have nervous systems. We actually have this beautiful way that electricity and communication flows through the body. And the number one thing that we must do as projectors is get out of survival mode. We must. This is everybody. But for projectors, there's nothing that's going to dampen your glow more than if you're in survival mode. If you are razor focused on a specific thing, that penetrative aura, if you are holding your breath, if you are depleted, if you don't have softness to your feel, to your tone, if you are gripping onto life, if you're controlling, all of that stuff is an emulation of survival, of feeling like you're under threat. And it takes getting out of that state of survival and moving into a more rest and digest state of being, one that allows you to soften a bit, to surrender, to trust, to just be. I did a poll on my YouTube community tab, and the question, presented a bunch of questions about what you struggle with most as projectors. Feel free to go vote if you haven't yet. But the number one response of that projectors struggle with, who follow me, they said that believing that being is what will bring them the invitations rather than doing. Isn't that interesting? Is that you? Do you believe that? Do you really believe that your beingness will bring you the invitations, or do you believe that you have to strive and do? That doingness, that activation is often from a state of fight or flight. Not all the time, especially other design types. There can be more doing, but notice if you're trying to control your life by doing things, and notice why you're trying to do that. Also, learning to listen to your body's sensations, just purely as they are, without story, and to track yourself before you get burnt out. This is something that I work with clients on. So just listening, right now in the body, what do you notice? Not as a story. So often we think like, oh, I'm tight, it's bad. So we just learn to listen to the body's sensations without creating a story around it. So we would say, Okay, my belly feels soft. My skin feels tingly. I feel cold air on my hands. My breath feels fluid. So just starting to track what's going on in the body. And then you notice when you start to have signs of stress and you learn to shift. That's a really, really big skill set because you want to use that throughout the day to notice if you're doing something that's draining you, that's activating you, that's taking your energy, because the stress response is, you pay a high price for that response. It's a beautiful response. It helps us to get out of, endangering situations that are danger to our life, that are threatening our life, but it takes an incredible amount of energy. And as human design projectors, we don't have a ton of energy to just kind of throw away. Our energy is very, very precious. So we have to be careful. And the importance of prioritizing rest and self-care as a state of beingness, as a state of opening our energy field to invitations. So the other hours of the day where you're not necessarily showing up, making yourself visible, when you're not in flow, can be spent pouring into your mind, your body, and your spirit. And I want to brainstorm some ways to do this. This is self-care. I talk about this a lot on my channel, but I don't think it can be talked about enough. The importance of pouring into you, of caring for your nervous system, of taking small moments to feel absolutely delicious. My website, the top of it says Live Deliciously. I have a program that I work with clients called Work Deliciously. I have a manifestation course called Create Deliciously. So as much as we can feel absolutely delicious as human design projectors, juicy, in overflow, scrumptious, that all lights us up. We want to be lit up from the inside. After you shift out of survival, the next step here is to feeding and pouring in. And if work isn't doing that on a particular day, if you put your 3 hours in and you're like, you know what, I'm not feeling like I want to continue outputting. It's not about, this video is called, it's not a passive experience to wait for the invitation. So let's say, for example, it's a blizzardy day, it's a blizzard outside and you light candles everywhere and it feels really good to cozy up to a good movie. That might be an alignment. That might be a form of rest for a short period of time, but to spend all 5 hours watching TV and eating popcorn, that's going to be a drain. So this waiting for the invitation isn't doing nothing. It's pouring into yourself through ritual, through education, and specifically through mind, body, and spirit. So I want to take it each category at a time. The first one is your mind. How are you pouring into your mind? And I would love, if you're tuned in, I would love to hear ways that you invest into your mind, that you pour into your mind. I'm going to offer the prompt of what are you good at? What lights you up? What's your area of expertise? So I know that mine is in the nervous system care and studying the human body from a lived experience. So there's plenty of experts in biology, in neuroscience, but I really believe that my sweet spot is in applying that learning into everyday life and living it. So anything I do in my daily life that contributes to that, I'm learning through an embodied experience. I'm pouring in. I love learning about the body. I love learning about energy. I love learning about spirit. What podcasts are you listening to? What books are you reading? What documentaries are you learning from? How are you pouring into your mind to amplify? And you may not know what you're good at yet. You might not know, but you just follow the breadcrumbs. When I was in college, I knew that I loved the human body. So I actually started with a major in biology to do pre-med and just kept following what felt exciting for me. And then I narrowed it down to neuroscience because I found it fascinating to learn about the brain. And then from there, I mean, I tell my story in a different video, but I, graduated and I went to work a full-time job. And honestly, I mean, just side note, that was really draining for me. That structure of that 8-hour day, I only lasted 2 years. I didn't even know about human design, and I wouldn't for many years, but I was like, I felt caged in. I felt trapped. I didn't like it. So I quit my full-time job and I worked in the service industry as a server for many years, waiting tables, and loved the freedom of that. Now, it was very draining to do that, but at least I had more time on the off seasons. And in that time that I had, in that extra space I had outside of my shifts, outside of those, late nights waiting tables, I remember I used to wake up really early and I got really into cooking. I grew up with a single mother who doesn't like cooking. And so I grew up with a lot of processed foods like frozen pizzas and Hamburger Helper and, just like eggs and toast, like really simple meals. And I started, as I became a young woman, I started getting really fascinated with cooking. And so I would wake up really early and I would light a candle and I would read through, how the rest, cookbooks have the intros, and I would read through all the different intros of why and what and how to combine and what you need in your pantry. And that was really aligning for me. And then slowly but surely, I started to gravitate back towards my love of the human body over the years. And I don't know if any of you know Dr. Joe Dispenza, but he does a lot of work with visualization and neuroplasticity and tracking, the brain scans and exploring the quantum field. And I was just fascinated. I felt like, wow, how had I missed this during my college years? Like how did I learn about neuroscience and not know about these practical applications towards manifestation? And so that just led me from A to B to C. I started to get into law of attraction. I just started following what lit me up. I started gathering my expertise. And at the same time, I've danced my whole life. So I was investing. I wouldn't even look at it at that time as an investment, but I was dancing. I was actively performing. I was teaching yoga at the time as well. So I was taking, yoga classes. I was practicing yoga several times a week. I was sharing yoga practices the whole time, not knowing it was culminating into this business that I would create many years later, and this platform called Science and Magic. And I think it's such a good question of like, what are you good at? What lights you up? And following that and building your expertise, your unique way of seeing the world, because I would have never known back in college, I'm going to have a platform called Science and Magic with a podcast, and I'm going to coach high achieving workaholics to help them to find more ease in their bodies, which is something I actually lived through too. And so even me living through that was gathering expertise. So you can become even more of the expert that you already are in that way. So my expertise lives in, not just with my mind, investing in my mind, but from lived experience as well. And I think that's really, really important to invest in the mind, to keep the mind sharp, to work the mind out. And another thing you can do too for the mind, of course, is nervous system care, mindfulness, nervous system opportunities, meditation, things that soothe the mind, that calm the mind, that create more space. Oh, hello, Pen Path Evolution Network. Eileen, just joining now, projector here from New York City. Love to have you. It's so beautiful. The next aspect of this is body. So this, again, is something that I'm really big in. What do you do to invest into your physical body? Not just the mind. We talked about the mind. So what helps your body to thrive? I'd love to hear from you too, if you're tuning in. Like, how do you take care of your body? This seems obvious, but for some reason, especially for high achievers, it can be really difficult. Movement. Are you moving? Are you exercising? Nutrition. What are you eating? that is nourishing for the body. How are you eating it? Are you eating slowly? Are you eating mindfully? Are you scarfing it in survival mode? Having clean filtered water that doesn't have microplastics or toxins in it, cleansing the body through water is really important. You all know I'm very into that. I've talked about that several times. Skincare. So making sure that we're caring for the skin, and of course, like nutrition and movement and clean water, these will all contribute to beautiful glowing skin. But also, I oil my skin every day. I do gua sha. I take care of my body in that way. And then grooming. So taking the time to do the extras, having, your nails done if that resonates with you, putting makeup on, doing your hair, feeling good in this vessel that your energy inhabits is really, really important for becoming that invitation. You pour into your body as you wait for the invitation. So you're not just zoning out, you're not sitting down twiddling your thumbs, you're not waiting, irritated and bitter. You are pouring into your mind through learning, through taking courses that feel delicious, through listening to podcasts, through books. You are pouring into your body through self-care, through grooming, through polishing yourself so that you feel good, so that you look like an invitation. And then the third part of this is spirit and energy. And this is really our connection with the unseen. So I believe it's twofold. It's our connection with our own energy, with our aura. And this is big because human design is a lot about energy. And then it's also has to how it relates and interplays with a higher power, with many people have different words for this, with God, with the divine, with the universe, however you want to describe it. So it's the unseen. It's how our intentions, how our thoughts float out into the world and come back to us. It's how our beingness, how the magnetic field around us interplays with the world. And I really feel like this is the juice of this. Like, this is really how we how we open ourselves up to invitations. We amplify our aura. We amplify our energy, and things like caring for the mind, things like caring for the body can help to amplify the aura. But there's also things like prayer journaling. So writing to a higher power. This is embodying the energy of surrender, of like, okay, so you'd say, dear universe, I'm not sure how this is going to happen, but I put it into your hands. It's this or something better. Show me the way. I'm open. And whether or not you believe that a specific higher power is bringing that towards your life, you are practicing the energy of surrender, which is huge when we're talking about waiting for an invitation. You have to be in a surrendered state while waiting for an invitation. Things like prayer, devotion, losing yourself, your sense of identity in an experience is huge in how to amplify spirit and energy. So think of yourself sitting on a beautiful beach at a morning sunrise and watching the golden glow of the sun lifting up from beyond the horizon. And there's beautiful clouds and there's birds, and you're just swept away in the experience. You forget that you're you. You feel like you're a part of something bigger. You feel like you're a part of something larger. And that feeling connects you to your soul-aligned opportunities and your soul-aligned people. Same thing, let's say you like to go out in nature, you like to go out hiking, or let's say you're at the top of a mountain and you're looking out over the landscape and you feel bigger than just you. You feel like you have a broader perspective. You feel like there's more than just your narrow experience. That feeling of largeness, of connectedness, makes you so magnetic. it's amazing. So seeking these experiences where you feel like you can really lose yourself, where it could be a beautiful play or a beautiful art gallery or a stunning meditation, visualization, anything where you forget about your wishes, your desires, puts you into a state of surrender and creates some energetic space from that penetrative projector aura to step back and for you to be recognized. I have so many examples of when I've been in this state and things have fallen into place for me. I've come back and I've had invitations via email or a text message, or various things have happened when I'm in this state. And I have to remind myself all the time of how powerful that actually is. I just think feeling connected to something bigger is a really powerful embodiment. And this is essentially how we connect into the grid around us. And I believe as projectors, we all have our specific soul aligned people and opportunities. And some of us have, are designed to be in front of more people. Some of us are like, that makes me nervous to be around in front of people. I don't want to be in front of anybody, but I still want to share my knowledge in front of a few people. Well, being in this state of openness and surrender and connection helps to invite in the exact amount of people that are for you. And you just have to trust. And when you see evidence of it happening, write it down. Write it down, remember it, create a log, because this helps you to have a sense, something to grab onto when you forget and you start to get nervous. So I think that's everything I have for you today. I would love to answer any questions that you have. Feel free to ask questions in the chat, to respond to anything. I hope this helped. Thank you so much for these explanations. I appreciate you sharing this knowledge. Oh, you're so welcome. I honestly was a little I felt inspired to share something like this. But I get a little nervous sharing about being a projector sometimes because I'm not incredibly articulated about it and, intellectually, if that makes sense. But the embodiment of it, I feel like since I live it all the time, and this is really what I work on with clients, I do have language around that. So I love sharing in that way. So I'm glad that you're receiving something from this. And yeah, I just want to give a shout out to all you human design projectors that to just hang in there. This world is not really built for our strategy. And many of us have to pave our own way, whether that's starting your own business, being articulate, like working for a company that respects and honors your design, even if they don't know human design, that respects and honors your wishes and wellness. But it's not easy. And I remember working a full-time job, and I remember, going to school full-time and just being so burnt out and pushing and striving and activating and not feeling happy at the end of it, just feeling depleted. And my heart goes out to you. And I know that you'll find your way if you just go slowly but surely and trust the process and dive into each moment one at a time. Any recommendations on marketing a yoga retreat as a projector? Ooh, okay. Marketing a yoga retreat as a projector. So first, what's coming to mind is leaning into that visualization of how would it feel for you to have all of your soul-aligned dream attendees there. So writing that out, feeling it, seeing it, getting yourself into the state of being where you are so filled with nourishment and joy and feeling the energy of it being booked first. So just doing the energy work first is a part of that is marketing, especially as a projector. So clearing any blocks you have, any limiting beliefs you have around that. And then as far as marketing, I always find that for me, it's less about the specifics and it's more about sharing the essence. So for your yoga retreat, it depends what platform you're sharing, but I like a lot of storytelling and inviting the senses in. So, if it's less about what, and it's more about essence. So sharing the essence of the yoga retreat. Think about if you were scrolling through Instagram or you were sharing on a YouTube video, or you are not sharing, you're on a YouTube video right now, you're on mine. But if you're reading a newsletter, a MailChimp newsletter, what would strike you? What would pull your attention? And not having that energy of like, I need you to sign up, and more of having the energy of like, I'm so excited to share this opportunity for anyone who resonates, and leaning into the value that you're offering, feeling the value that you're offering. That essence, that type of sharing, that feeling like they will be blessed just by receiving the information, just by reading through the description, whether or not they sign up, that's delicious marketing. And especially as a projector, you don't want to like convince, you don't want to pitch yourself. So you're just sharing from your heart. I hope that helps. Could you touch on the importance of play as a projector? The importance, I should have touched on the importance of play. That's so important. Play gets you out of survival mode. And so if you're being chased by a lion or, a bear, you're not going to be playing. So when you play, you shift out of that state of fight or flight. If you think of the energy of play, what are the embodiments? The embodiments are delight, laughter, joy, awe, childlike wonder, which are all embodiments that can pull, your invites, your invitations to you. So play emits a state of being that creates a magnetism towards invitations to happen to match that state of being. It's also an energy of surrender and letting go. When you're playing, you're not worrying about anything. You're not trying. You're not grabbing onto. You are just being in the moment, which is magnetic in and of itself. I feel this so much, even as a manifester, especially with the limited energy we have. Oh, another manifester. Welcome. Yeah. And like I said, I don't know a ton about the other design types, but anytime there's limited energy, being really, really careful with how it's being spent and seeing it as precious and not letting it be a limiting belief either. But I think noticing what fills you up and what drains you, it's always coming back to that and focusing on the things that fill you up. I'm on a 5-day sick day leave from a toxic job. Oh, I'm so sorry you have a toxic job, Miriam. Yeah, that's really, really hard. During those 5 days, focus on, recovery and amplifying your energy. Maybe spend a whole day just resting and recharging your energy. I don't know what day you're on right now. And then try to get out of that, just lying in bed mode and start to enhance your glow. Start to do something like taking a bath or reading a good book. Start doing something that fills you. And I believe that ideas start to flow in to get you out of that situation. That is such good advice on marketing. Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah, I've had to do a lot of clearing around the energy of marketing and a lot of shifting of my beliefs around it, because truthfully, it didn't work for me. A lot of the advice that I would be given, like sales calls, don't work for me in the traditional way. But if I go into it with the energy of like, I'm just connecting with this person, like I'm having coffee with them, and I actually wouldn't want them to sign up for my services if it didn't resonate with them, because then it's not going to be a match and it'll just be awkward. So that's the same for everything, like this YouTube video. Like, I hope that if you're tuned in, there's resonance here and that we're sharing in that energy. And I only want the people here that have resonance, and I'm excited to share, and it feels good to be asked questions and all of these things. So focusing on that energy, that value. Leaning into the value sounds good. Yes, so helpful. Thank you. Oh, I'm so glad. I started working full-time after graduating in 2020. In 2022, I lost all will to strive in a job that wasn't a fit. You sound like me. When I graduated, I got a full-time job for 2 years, and then I lost all will to strive in a job that wasn't a fit. Exactly. I've tried and failed in getting it back since. I felt you on the 2-year thing. Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, I went to a serving position for many years. And in my 20s, that worked for me. In many ways, it wasn't the best use of my work energy, but it gave me a lot of freedom. I did a ton of traveling. I did a ton of learning. I had so much flexibility. And honestly, I loved who I worked with. It was a really fun environment. It got old after a while for sure. And I wanted some more of a sense of fulfillment in travel. But you just navigate out of your situation slowly. You follow each breadcrumb and you do your best to take care of your nervous system wherever you're at. So, okay. Well, I think that's it for me for today. I will try to live stream again next week. I think I'm going to talk about inside out beauty rituals, which I think will be a big hit. But, for projectors, if you have any other questions, you can feel free to email me. My email's underneath in the description. You're also free to write a comment you can write a comment under the community post I just did as well. Please hit like on this video if you're tuned in. That really helps me to kind of spread my energy and my essence and have other soul aligned people to find me. So definitely give it a like, and you can hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when I'm live again. I love interacting with all of you. So thank you for your questions and your comments. And I'm sending you so much love, and I will be back soon.